Welcome to 101. I'm Greg Bassett, your host from the Salisbury Independent newspaper. It's a big day here at PAC 14. We're continuing our interviews with people who are running for mayor for the city of Salisbury, and we've got Jermichael Mitchell. Welcome, Jermichael.
Well, thank you for having me, sir.
So, who are you? I know you from your work with youth and your work with the city, but tell the people, who is Jermichael Mitchell?
I'm Jermichael Mitchell. I'm a 39-year-old gentleman who has been living in Salisbury for a very long time, all my life. Graduated from Wycomico High School, played basketball there for Butch Waller, won a state title. That's kind of the claim to fame. I got involved with youth work because I started working for the Department of Juvenile Services. I worked for corrections for a year. But I've just actively been involved in the community. It's been a thing where we've done book bag drives, fed the homeless, things that others have done as well. But we've done it consistently for a very long time. I'm just a passionate guy that really loves this community.
And that comes across. People know you as a passionate guy, and you have a voice for a community that might be overlooked by a lot of people in the establishment. Is that the reason you're running for mayor?
Yeah, I would say that I feel like the communities have been overlooked. I feel like a lot of attention has been put on downtown. Our roads, our streets, our parks. There's certain things that in our community that have been overlooked. And we've waited 9 years. We were told we came to them 9 years ago. And at the time they were in transition, and at that time Mr. Day was becoming mayor, and things were going on. And we were told if we allowed them to grow downtown, it would be a trickle-down effect.
Right.
That's what we were told at the time.
Right.
We haven't seen that trickle-down effect. So we just feel like it's people in place. I actually, and to be honest, I was going to run for city council. But with the moves that were made with our current mayor at the time with our governor, the opportunity presented itself, and I felt like, why not try my hand, see what I can do.
You live up in Doverdale, which is one of my favorite neighborhoods in the city. I'm really comfortable up Doverdale, I always have. I still got my hair cut at the old Monument Barber Shop up there.
Yeah.
I just love that neighborhood. But tell me what's going on in that neighborhood. That's one of those neighborhoods with the community playground there. The police have done some things with lacrosse there. There's the new Truett Street Center for kids. Things going good in Doverdale or bad or what?
I would say more could be done.
Yeah.
You won't satisfy everyone. You go to a Doverdale Park on a Sunday, you can see the Spanish population playing soccer. You can see the Haitian population on certain days playing soccer. You go after school at times, there is problems where kids are congregating and things are happening all over our city in different parks as well. Doverdale is a nice area, but occasionally it has its crime just like other places. Usually that crime is committed by youth. Is Truett Street truly filled with our kids? I don't believe that. I don't believe that it's an open center where youth can go to get off the streets.
Right.
It had some programming being done, and now they have their certain programming for certain ages. Doverdale Park, when it had Mr. Matt Massarello and the city police out there doing the lacrosse, it was amazing.
Right.
We actually did a basketball league that same summer.
Right.
Every day we were out there was packed. It's just underutilized. The city only has 3 parks. Other parks are county parks. You have Waterside Park, you have Lake Street Park, and you have Doverdale Park. Right now, we don't even have access to parking at Lake Street Park at all. So you can't really utilize that park at all. The parking lot was sold, as a lot of lots are sold.
Right.
But Doverdale, man, it still holds a special place to those kids in that community. I just wish more things were done in that park by the city, right? We often tag the community to do things. But there should be some investment in our communities from the city as well. What's a block party with tons of information about mental health? What's a back to school function? Partnering with other agencies in the community. We have assets and funds for Truett Street Community Center that's been allotted if you look at the budget.
Right.
So it's one of those things where you could utilize some of those funds to do things in Doverdale Park as well.
Now, I get the feeling Newton Street's going well, though.
Yeah, Newton Street's going well. I mean, I think Truett Street's going well. Don't get me wrong. I believe they're a Boys and Girls Club of America right now. But again, that targets membership. I don't know if it's membership at Newton, but I do know they have some programming. I actually spoke at Truett Street last night to the Young Men of Distinction, which is a gentleman's club.
Right.
So it's being utilized. I just don't think the doors are open.
I got you.
Get what I'm saying? So there is programming.
Right.
It's being utilized, but I feel tons of more kids could be off the streets if you target different demographics and have different programming going on.
Now, it's always seemed like there's this battle between downtown and the neighborhoods.
Yeah.
And I've always been one of those that felt like we could have both.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's mandatory to have both.
And I've been accused of being defensive of downtown because, I'm kind of sentimental about downtown and I like the progress that's been made and I want it to continue. But I completely agree that I don't understand what's going on in the neighborhoods like I need to.
Yeah. Downtown growth is vital to all communities. Don't get what we're saying wrong. We're not saying stop doing what we're doing. We're just saying do it in a competent way.
Gotcha.
Right now that we're looking at the deals and things are coming out and parking lots are being sold and we're renting buildings that we used to own. We're just talking about the competency piece now. It's not truly about whether downtown is being developed. I would say that I don't think the Ross is at full capacity yet. And truly, will it ever get to full capacity, right?
Right.
And then you're looking at the parking. We continue to build up downtown. We have to talk about parking, and we're taking parking lots to do other things. That to me is mind blowing, right? Especially from our elderly. Our elderly and our homeless population use the library. Again, homeless population don't have vehicles, but our elderly do.
Right.
You took a lot of access to the handicap parking, the close parking to the library has been taken away. And now you tell our elders that they got to park in a parking garage, even if it is 2 hours free.
Sure.
That's a far distance to be walking to the library for
Right.
access to services and resources.
Right. And I get you on
Yeah,
that.
so I feel like we continue the growth of downtown. We just do development different. I truly believe something like a Unity Square can be done right down there by the amphitheater. I feel like if you're going to build a new hotel, have that developer buy the existing hotel and expand it along the Riverwalk. We have a continue to beautify the Riverwalk. I believe there's great visions and things that can happen. I just think we got to do it in competency. That's
Right.
all. I'm not mad about it. I am mad about some of the tax abatements that some people may have gotten. What comes to our community when you grow downtown? I just feel like in this 9 years, we haven't gotten nothing back from those developers. What have they done in our community? And that's the piece, right? Continue to grow downtown. I want it to be beautiful. I've been to Annapolis and I've been to other small cities that have beautiful downtown, beautiful river walks, beautiful fountains. That's an attraction, right? That brings
Right.
tourists, that brings money, that brings revenue. But at the same time, you can't ride past a torn down neighborhood coming through 50
Right.
and then hit downtown and it's just this amazing, beautiful thing. We still got to put some money into our neighborhoods as well.
Right. One of my problems has always been that I'm wrong about everything. So, when these people take risks, like when they did the amphitheater, I was like, no one's going to go down there.
Yeah.
And it's like the greatest thing ever.
Oh, it's amazing.
And when they were going to make open up the plaza and get rid of that, I was like, that's not going to work. It's terrific,
Yes.
and all these things that happen. I'm just wrong about everything. So, so I like the idea that someone takes the risk. So that they maybe kind of ignore people like me, doubters like me, and take a risk and try something, and it works or doesn't work, like Waverly Avenue or
Right,
whatever
right.
example you have of that. But I'm glad that leaders will take a risk. Are you going to be that kind of leader?
Yeah, so I'll be candid. I don't have any vanity projects in mind, right? I believe our city has a growth plan. I believe we need to continue to look at that growth plan and see how it grows. But I don't have any I statements in there. I feel like we have to go back to asking people what they want.
Right.
Right. That's the biggest piece for me. I truly feel like, and we're finding out, a lot of things are done and then the people are informed. A lot of things are done and then we're asked, do we like them? Like I get risk, but I can take a risk and have an idea and ask you if you like it.
Right.
Right? I can get some engagement from this. And I can't always expect you to come to a city council meeting for that engagement.
Right.
Right? I can't always expect that. I have to go to the people at times and engage them in their communities. That again is where you have the event in a park and you ask people, hey, these are some of our vision plans. These are some of the things we're thinking about doing. Does this benefit you? How can we help you through this process? I feel like that's the piece that's truly missing. For so long, it's been come to us, come to us.
Right.
And it hasn't been let's go to the people and ask, hey, would you want a Ross downtown?
Right.
Would you want? And if we do a Ross downtown, what's a reasonable rate that you would move downtown? Because you want community people to move downtown as well,
Right.
and have access to these things. So I truly believe that the ideas of downtown are great. They've grown. I go all the time. Like I can't speak for other residents here. I go to the Third Fridays. I go to the events at the amphitheater. I go to the music festivals that we have. I do my best to make sure I enjoy my city and what we have, because I remember there was a time we didn't have any of those things. We were really rural. We were more farmland
Right.
and things of that nature. I like the growth, and I want to continue the growth. But I just truly feel like some places feel like they have been neglected. And in those places, it isn't about just African Americans. If you go to those places, there's all cultures that are suffering poverty right now, that are struggling right now,
Right.
that could utilize some of the resources.
Salisbury is so diverse, so much
Yeah.
diversity, and I feel like the minority community, might even be a majority now, doesn't have the voice maybe that it could or should. The election turnout, especially in District 1, is always really bad. What can we do to get more of a voice to those people who might not be part of the process?
One, I would say it's in our hiring. It's hard when you go downtown and someone doesn't look like you. I worked for Housing and Community Development Department for 2 years. I seen the struggles, right at the front desk, where you have people who are good workers that may become frustrated because of the language barrier, where they're really trying to help someone, they just can't get and then that person doesn't bring an interpreter with them, and the city doesn't have an interpreter hired for them, so now
Right.
you're using the phones with Google, so it becomes frustrating. Starting to hire more diversity in our departments. People go straight to hire well, we got to get more diverse in our department heads. We do, but that's going to take time, right?
Sure.
We can't go in and just chop all the department heads and say we're going to start hiring Spanish, because those people also have to apply. That's the other piece, right? Like, if they're not applying, how can you hire them? But it's getting into the community, making those connections, making those hires, and then as we get along, encouraging and educating people from other cultures who are citizens, because that sometimes is something that you run into, to start actively getting involved in local politics.
Right.
We should have, and if we don't have people in city council, there should be a cultural board. We make all of these boards, but we haven't brought the Koreans, the Haitians, the Spanish, the African Americans to a cultural board to find out those different issues in those different communities. We've had the census. We know the population of people that's here. There should be representation from each one of those, not just church representation, there's religion representation. We feel at times the church speaks for all people. That's not a true statement. A lot of times we have religious leaders who we get them together and then we ask them about the community, but we would know in 2023, everyone doesn't go to church.
Yeah, the Haitian and Latino community, I feel like, are really strong here. And you don't hear much, but then all of a sudden, like, you have the Latino festival, and there's 5,000 people downtown. You're like, where do these people come from? But they're using downtown, and they're very much part of the community.
Yeah, and again, it's in their own silos. They are working towards finding who should be the speaker for them, who should be the representative. Sometimes people want to get more organized before they put themselves out there, if that makes sense. So from some of the conversations that I've had with the other communities, that's what they want to do. I'm a firm believer that you don't have to always be, or someone has to step up and be the voice, because you'll be overlooked. I truly believe that. So that's been our encouragement in this process. Win, lose, or draw, we feel like educating those other communities, hey, you have a voice. Like you said, you show up in the thousands when you have events. That's power. Numbers is power. And getting people back to the original thing. Use your voice, get actively involved. No, you don't have to just go scream at a city council or county council meeting to be heard. Start running for some of these offices.
Right.
Start running for Board of Education.
Right.
You have kids that go to school. And it's no disrespect to our elders. Sometimes you have to pass the torch.
Right.
It just has to happen. We want people to be able to grow and enjoy life, enjoy our city as it's grown and they've done the good work. They should be able to sit back and pass that torch on to someone else and have comfortability passing that torch, right? You've groomed these people to pass the torch. So I truly believe that. But just look at the demographic of age on our Board of Education. They're not truly
skews pretty high up there.
And that's what I'm saying.
It's a lot of people like me.
And again, it's not disrespectful, because they've been doing great work for years. But are they really in tune to make great decisions for our children? Right? And we would say that they're not. I often go to these schools. I'm a mentor. I don't see those people who sit on the Board of Education walking our hallways. Often they're making their executive decision, but they're not on ground zero. And it's not often that, I get it, that they're talking to those teachers or talking to those counselors, because they have a lot of other things to do. But we have to encourage younger people to get active and involved. We have to. I'm excited about all the young people that are running. I'm excited about the election because it's educating people that may have not been educated before. Through this whole process, that's been our whole goal. Me running is helping educate people about the process. They may have never been interested before. Like you said, the turnout over time has been drastically low.
Right.
But we're hoping through this process, more people will come out. If you don't like me, you got to come out and vote against me.
Right.
So now you're voting. Right? Like, so
one way to look at it.
Really though, right?
Yeah.
So either way, you have to vote, because if you don't go vote right now, someone who you may not agree with may get in office. So that's the whole process, right? You're inspiring people in a negative or a positive. You're still inspiring people to take advantage of their voice.
All great leaders have something really simple, and that's a task list. So you get elected mayor in November. What are the first one or two things that you're going to do as the new mayor?
Assessment evaluation. I want to meet with my directors. I want to sit down and make sure that do you feel that the previous administration, the people who are in place, the city council and all, have they equipped you to be successful, right? You can look at all the budgets. We can see all the money that they've been given over the years. We can assess all those things, how much money was left over. You could do all of those things. But I want to have personal conversation, not group conversation, right? Because sometimes when you have group conversation, people put on facades. I want to have one-on-one with every director and find out, do they feel their needs have been met through these past to be successful, right? And what can we do? What would their wish list be? Then my second thing would be evaluating our budget. I truly feel that there's money and funds that have been spent in places that just don't need to be spent. I ain't saying we got to pull a tight string, But I've always, working through the 2 years that I've worked and seeing that the city finds money when it wants to find money.
Right.
I've seen it happen over the years. When they want to have a quick meeting and move some money around, they do that. So I truly feel like if we sit down, instead of taxing our people drastically like we were planning to do, let's tighten our purse strings. Let's see where we're wasting money. Let's figure out. There's tons of money still allotted for bike lanes.
Right.
That should be discussed with the people before we keep spending money on bike lanes.
Right. Now, a lot of that's funded by grants, but I
And
understand
it
your point.
is.
Yeah.
But it's that, again, what other grants could we get
Right.
that we don't have to continue to do bike lanes, right? I'm a Parks and Rec. We want to do new waterways.
Right.
Like we want to make kayaking a thing. There's grants that we could go grab to make new waterways connect across Wicomico County and the city. I think that's more interesting than continuing bike lanes that aren't being used, right? Let's do something different if we're going to do lanes. But there's other opportunities of grant access money to do powerful things. Let's ask the people, though, what they want to do with those things. That's what we are.
No, mayor's job really is, you can do it any way you want. You got to be a figurehead, or you can really be in there and roll up your sleeves and do the hard work, you know, as a true administrator with the city administrator. What kind of mayor do you think you'll be?
I want to be involved, right? I don't want to just give the keys to someone, but I want to work in competency and not friendship. I just be honest and candid. I'm not saying that people aren't competent. I just say that we don't do a good job of, when jobs are available, making it accessible to all people. I was a part of housing and community development. We've had 3 directors in the past years whose past experience wasn't housing and community development. We had an officer, we had a manager of a large company, and now we have a city council person who has now taken the position.
Mirabota's doing it now.
So we have a police chief who just became a city administrator after
Right.
lots of years. So
Fire chief.
Yeah. So it's not always, I'm sorry, fire chief, yes sir. But it's not always that we work, I feel, in competence. Not saying none of those people can't do their jobs that they're about to take on. But what I would say is, because you're my buddy, I shouldn't just, hey, this job is available. And I know that that's happened. I've seen it myself in the 2 years that I worked. We have to work in competency. I want to be hands-on with competent people. I want to be hands-on with people who share some vision and ideas and understand that as we grow downtown, we still have to do for our communities.
So 4 years from now, when you're the mayor and you're back here again for your re-election interview, what's my hometown going to look like?
It's going to continue to grow. I'm hoping that we can entice some jobs to come to the area. I know NASA has some big time jobs coming down there. So, but I feel like we have to start truly getting back in our high schools. We have to grow some of those high school kids who are going to college, get them to stay home, get them to go to SU. You want to fill these buildings up? We got to keep the kids here. We got to get down UMES. We got to plug in with SU. We got to grow our officers from here. We have an officer shortage. We have a EMT shortage. I feel like we can grow it internally. We can truly get back to our communities and start growing from inside. And we can continue to grow downtown and build a better relationship with our county. Has to be done. Hasn't been done in a very long time.
It's a problem.
Yeah, and we have to. I know they have their issues and they need to work on
Yes,
their
they
issues
do.
as well. But we have to build a better, we have to have someone that, no matter Republican or Democrat, no matter red or blue or far or left, whatever, reasonable people who understand it. Salisbury is the biggest city on the Eastern Shore. Wicomico County has Salisbury and is one of the best counties on the Eastern Shore. We got to start acting like it. And that starts with grown-ups having reasonable conversation.
Right.
Grown-ups putting people before their egos. For so long it was about egos and not about the community. We have to get back to the community to truly make some things happen. The county exec, the mayor, the county council, the city council have to get on one accord. I don't know the last time that group of people have called a meeting together.
Right.
Right? A meeting together. Close these doors, turn these cameras off. Let's sit down together and figure this thing out. Instead of always the cameras on, other people involved putting their twist. Grown-ups need to have grown-up conversations, especially when you're in charge of other people's lives. When we run for these positions, we're in charge of a lot of lives. We got to make sound decisions, and we got to act like grown-ups.
Do you have a website? Is there a way people can reach out and contact you?
Yes, sir. My website is www.sbymitch.com. Tons of information on there. People can get our shirts, our buttons we're giving out. They can see the next meet and greets. I have several meet and greets coming up. And of course, October 17th, we would love for everyone to come out and hear all of the candidates' vision. We don't have anything bad to say about anyone. We are 3 different people with 3 different visions for our city. And we truly feel like if you use your vote, you'll truly get some impact in this city.
Right, and that's the forum at University Hall.
Yeah, yes, sir. At 17th,
yeah.
down there. It's the Greater Salisbury Committee,
Yeah.
PACE, and the Salisbury Area Chamber of Commerce, which is going to be a lovely thing. I look forward to it. I get excited. You know, sometimes people think it's a lot of pressure, but I truly get excited when we're able to share our thoughts and our vision with the masses.
He's Jermichael Mitchell. He's running for mayor of the city of Salisbury. We're thrilled he had time to be with us here today. Thank you so much, Jermichael.
Thank you for having me, sir.
I'm Greg Bassett from the Salisbury Independent newspaper. Another edition of 101 right here on PAC 14.
First Shore Federal is proud to support PAC 14 and one-on-one. We'd encourage every business to support PAC 14 and pick a program and support it, and let's make a difference.